Election Day is November 5th, and we're sitting down with Norwalk's candidates for Common Council and Board of Education, and we're asking them for their qualifications, their opinions, and their visions for Norwalk.
My first term was very interesting, coming from a businessman's perspective, and that's what I'm used to because I've been in business since I was 21 years old. Learned a lot, and there's a huge learning curve when you come aboard the Common Council. And luckily, I've had some seasoned veterans that could help us along. But I think my accomplishments have been, quite a few. I was chairman of Parks and Rec, and during my tenure, we got hit with Superstorm Sandy. So, calf pasture and a lot of our city parks were just devastated. And we were able to get those turned around and get them back on the proper footing. And one of my biggest things, and I think I've heard this more than anything else in the city, was the fishing pier down at Calf Pasture. And I'm proud to say that we were able to fund that to get it going even before the FEMA money, because we still haven't seen that. So hopefully by the end of this summer, this winter coming, that'll be back up ready for next year's season. But some of the accomplishments and what I bring to the board is just a rational thinker. I'm not an argumentative person. I do my homework, I look at things, and we take it from there. I want to do what's best for the city. And some of the accomplishments were, trying to keep the taxes as low as we could. Board of Education, there was a lot of wants and needs there, and we were able to really kind of fully fund what they were asking for, which was like a breath of fresh air. So I'm looking forward to go on for another 2 years and see if I can accomplish more.
What are the sort of priorities, sort of things that you like to focus on, and the city to focus on in your next 2 years?
Number one, I'd like to see our taxes try to stay as stable as we can. But that being said, through these 2 years of getting calls from people in our district and even out of district, because I'm on the various committees, there's a lot of needs and wants in this city. And we've done a pretty good job of trying to address those. Obviously, we can't do it all. But you know what? We've got people that are calling us, we need more money for our schools. We want to educate the children because that really reflects highly on our property values. We've got people that are crying that, we're flooded. We need help here. And some of those fixes that we've been doing are just kind of like Band-Aids at this point because some of the infrastructure is very, very old. And we're going to need to spend some capital money on that. Our buildings, we own a lot of buildings, the schools and all that. They need constant repair. And of course, we have our police that would like to see more police officers for safety. So, these next 2 years, we're going to hopefully address a lot of these and try to make a balance because we've got people screaming, our taxes are too high. Other people, are saying, I don't mind paying a little bit more. So it takes an awful lot to run this city. And, through this whole economic recession that we've been through, and I've been in business for myself since 1978, and I've gone through a few recessions. This is the worst I've ever seen. And for us to stay on a stable financial ground through this, through prudent management, it's something to talk about Norwalk. I would love to see Wall Street really start turning around. I've heard, probably back in the 80s, we're going to redevelop Wall Street. And it hasn't happened yet. And I can understand why, but that's some of the focus that I would like to see get these developments and try to help and see if there's a way to streamline it.
What are the things in your mind that are the top budget priorities, the things that the city has to secure?
That's a tough one. I was told back in '05 when things were really going good, a lot of the DPW, Parks and Rec, their budgets, their personnel, they were at their highest. And since then, they've all have gotten pared down. I know Parks and Rec, from up to 40 different full-time employees back then, they're down to like 14. And our park system has grown considerably since then, Oyster Shell Park and all. But somehow or another, we're able to do it. The low-hanging fruit that we've had in the budgets, they've already exhausted all those. So some of these cuts, unless we want to raise taxes up, 5 to 10%, which is unthinkable. Most of the taxpayers in this city are really at the upper end. All their salaries are probably remaining flat, but yet they're seeing their taxes going up. So it's a tough one because city services are essential. I'll just go back to the February snowstorm. We got pelted with 2 to 3 feet of snow, and yet Norwalk fared very well. Within a day, our major roads were open. And then if you look at some of our sister cities down in Bridgeport and Milford, they were paralyzed. That takes money. And it's a great staff that we have here in Norwalk. So when we go to balance, where's our priorities? I think what we have to do is to look, and we do when we go for the operating budgets and capital budgets. Even though we don't have a line item veto on the operating, we have an overall cap that we can have to set. But we have our influence in what we want to do. So we go line by line and see, not try to make as many cuts, not obviously can't fully fund. If we did, that'd be great, but it's never going to happen.
Strictly pertaining to District D, what are some of the needs of that district that might be different than, say, District E or Ward B? What are the needs that you have to focus on that for that district?
Well, I'll bring one up that just happened. It's been going on for a while, but it really came to a head 2 or 3 weeks ago. I attended a meeting down at the Silvermine Tavern with the people from Silvermine and Cranberry. It had to do with the BJ's coming on Main Avenue. And listening to the people there and looking at the spot, they had some real concerns. Number one, they want to protect their neighborhoods, which I'm sure every neighborhood throughout the city does too. Yet we do want development, but that site's got some problems to it. Not that I had an overall effect on right now that they withdrew the application, because it is not part of the Common Council's prerogative to do that. But talking with the people in Cranberry area and all the affected people, they really didn't think that was a good fit for that area, and I had to agree. So for whatever influence that I could say that I did not support that, and not BJ's, I have got a BJ's card in my pocket. My store buys a lot with BJ's. I would love to see them come to the city, not in that location.
The relationship between the Common Council and the mayor. To you, what should that relationship be?
Very interesting relationship. By our city charter, we're kind of known as a strong council system, weak mayor. I don't really find that to be the case. I mean, the council people, 15 of us, have quite a bit of power. We have like an ultimate say in a lot of respects, but you have to have a relationship with the mayor. There's no doubt about it. He is the head executive of the city. And even though he doesn't have a vote in some of the budgets and things unless there's a tie, he's still the man or the woman. But in this case, let's talk about the man. When appointments come forward, we recommend names if people, our constituents, want to serve on a board. Bring it to the mayor. The mayor will then pick who he wants, but we have to ratify that. So it really is a symbiotic relationship. You can't have the mayor on one side and the council on the other. I've been kind of lucky in my first term, in my only term, that we've, had a great mayor. And I think Mayor Moshe has done a great job. Very intense. I see where I'm coming from just with my committees and people, but this guy is running this city. So there's a great checks and balances, though, because if something is proposed and we can get 15 of us, we have our opinion. The mayor can sway. He's listened, we've listened, and off to a rocky start the first year of our term. That seems to have settled down, and I think everybody remembered what we're here for. We're not here for a political party. We're not here to make a name for ourselves, at least I don't feel that way. We're here to serve the city of Norwalk, because I have to tell you, this city has given me everything that I've ever wanted. My parents grew up here, I grew up here, my children are growing up here, educated here, and they've given me a business, these people that have, for 22 years, have made me very happy. So I'm here to pay the city back for everything that I've got.